headlines of this hour on VTV News. Prime Minister calls for swift reforms to streamline government processes. More Vietnamese agricultural products approved for official exports to China. In a world news, U.S. signals progress in trade talks during 90-day tariff pause.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. VTV News starts right now.
Good afternoon. It is now 3 p.m. local time in Hanoi, and you're watching VTV News. I'm Phie bringing you the latest updates. Now, under the chairmanship of Prime Minister Phie, the government convened its second legal theme session of April on Friday morning to discuss 5 draft laws for submission to the National Assembly's 9th session.
The 5 draft laws under discussion are amendments to the law on planning, the revised law on state budget, amendments to several existing laws, amendments to the law on enterprise, and amendments to the law on credit institutions. Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh emphasized that these pieces of legislation are crucial for creating breakthroughs in improving the institutional framework of the socialist-oriented market economy. The Prime Minister emphasized that the laws must implement the party's guidelines and policies while promoting decentralization and delegation of authority. He stated that while policies should be open and enabling, they must be governed through strong monitoring and oversight mechanisms. The Prime Minister added that the government plans to submit 37 draft laws and resolutions at the 9th session of the National Assembly, a substantial volume of essential documents with far-reaching impact. He urged relevant agencies to complete these legislative proposals on time and with high quality to help unlock resources and boost productive capacity.
During his site inspection, Deputy Prime Minister Lê Thành Long directed the Ministry of Health to strengthen the Project Management Board's capacity in overseeing the construction of second facilities for Bạch Mai and Việt Đức hospitals in Hà Nam. These facilities must be completed by November 30th. The Deputy Prime Minister pointed to 3 critical tasks: completing major construction packages, finalizing and appraising the design, and launching procurement for medical equipment, ensuring software systems are compatible between the first and second facilities. The Ministry of Health and Ministry of Finance have agreed on immediate medical equipment procurement for both hospitals. Now, given the new policies of U.S. President Donald Trump's administration, international trade is expected to record many major changes this year and next. As a result, the Vietnamese government recently held a conference with relevant bodies to adapt to the new global situation. Economic diplomacy was identified as a priority, with many urgent tasks set for Vietnamese representatives agencies abroad.
Immediately after the conference with the Prime Minister, the delegation of the Vietnamese embassy in Brazil met with the government there and the Federation of Industries of Sao Paulo state to promote trade and investment. Economic diplomacy is being thoroughly implemented by representative agencies as directed by the government to prevent trade and investment disruptions.
I highly appreciate Prime Minister Pham Minh Chihn's timely instructions at the recent conference. The embassy will continue to promote economic diplomacy, following the government's instructions to deploy a flexible response to global trade challenges.
The Prime Minister's instructions are very methodical. The focus is on maintaining market diversity and ensuring normal exporting of key products. Representative offices also need to consult and negotiate with long-standing partners to reduce fluctuation impact on Vietnamese and partner economies.
According to estimates, even if the United States decides to reduce import taxes to Vietnam to 0%, it will still have a trade deficit of more than $100 billion. Thus, unpredictable factors remain.
Information gathering and forecasting by Vietnamese representative agencies are crucial, especially in key markets. For example, the Vietnamese embassy in Berlin is able to closely follow Germany's developments and reactions to the U.S. new policy, providing timely information to the government, domestic agencies, ministries, branches, and enterprises about developments in the German market.
It takes joint efforts from all Vietnamese representative agencies abroad to help businesses overcome potential challenges in the U.S. market. A possible solution is making use of the Singaporean market, which can facilitate the trading of Vietnamese goods to many other markets internationally.
Given global fluctuations, achieving the growth target of 8% in 2025 is challenging for the Vietnamese economy. Therefore, the government is strengthening coordination between agencies within and outside the country to maximize potential trade and investment opportunities.
Vietnam and China have signed a new protocol enabling the official export of chilies, passion fruit, bird's nest, and rice bran to China. China is expediting permits for Vietnamese citrus fruits and traditional medicinal herbs, while Vietnam will fast-track imports of Chinese sturgeon. Both countries are developing a smart border gates and dedicated cargo routes to streamline trade, with plans to expand this model. China has committed to opening additional trade promotion offices in Haikou, Hainan, and other locations. The two nations will work together to improve custom clearance efficiency, reduce bottlenecks, and boost bilateral trade. China's approval for official exports open many major opportunities for 4 key products: chili, passion fruit, bird's nest, and rice bran. For bird's nest specifically, both raw and processed forms have been approved for export. Provinces with thriving sweetbread farming industries are now preparing to expand their market access.
When China and Vietnam signed a protocol for the official export of agricultural products, including bird's nest, Vietnam recognized the heightened importance of meeting raw material standards.
We have to ensure product quality meets buyers' requirements, including food safety standards, design specifications, appearance, and the absence of banned substances.
Vietnam's bird's nest exports reached approximately 300 million USD annually during 2022 and 2023, even without official export channels. While the newly signed protocol creates opportunities for increased export value, it also requires businesses to meet stricter standards.
Vietnamese products have already met all required standards and have been accepted. With an annual output of 150 to 200 tons, I believe the association is fully capable of providing a sufficient supply of raw materials.
With an annual raw material supply of 200 tons, Vietnam has the potential to develop a billion-dollar export industry, provided all parties maintain compliance with the strict standards of official export market.
The Law on Cooperatives 2023 now permits cooperatives in Vietnam to establish their own enterprises. This model, though in its early stages, shows promising results by helping cooperatives expand operations and enter new markets. In Ha Giang Province, a tea cooperative has already formed its own company to reach international consumers.
After a decade of growth, the Phin Ho Tea Cooperative in Ha Giang founded a new company as an extension of its cooperative model. At their processing facility, employees from both the cooperative and the newly formed company work together towards a shared mission of bringing Vietnamese tea to the global market.
We have exported tea to China, Taiwan, China, Germany, and France.
Many international partners prefer not to establish direct cooperation with cooperatives. As a result, these buyers prefer signing exclusive purchase agreements with formal enterprises. So far, this model has proven effective.
Cooperatives that have established their own companies are seeing annual order growth of 15% on average. Operating under enterprise law enables faster decision-making than traditional cooperative mechanisms. However, among Vietnam's 26,500 agricultural cooperatives, only 300 have established companies. and just 2,600 have formed business partnerships with private enterprises, making up merely 1% of the total.
The new law must offer clearer guidelines to support and scale this model. Cooperatives will need substantial training in business management.
When private businesses contribute their expertise in processing and distribution, the partnership between private and collective sectors becomes a powerful driver of rural economic growth.
Vietnam aims to establish 25,000 modern-style agricultural cooperatives nationwide by the end of 2025. The integration of enterprises within cooperatives is expected to fuel this transformation, creating a more dynamic management model and attracting investment into the collective economy.
Now, before we move on to other important updates, let's take a look at the foreign exchange rate of today, April the 18th. Coming up next, new North-South Expressway sections to launch nationwide this April the 30th. Intelligence battle, master forgers triumph of cunning and craft. Welcome back to VTV News. Heat waves have been recorded in northern and central Vietnam and will expand across many areas nationwide. Regions from Thanh Hóa to Phú Yên are experiencing widespread hot weather, with temperatures reaching 35 to 37 degrees Celsius and even higher in some areas. Starting tomorrow, April the 19th, the hot weather will extend to northern Vietnam, with temperatures commonly reaching 35 to 36 degrees or above. The heat wave in north and central regions is expected to last until April the 22nd. In southern Vietnam, hot weather will continue in the coming days, with peak temperatures around 35 to 36 degrees Celsius. People should stay alert for fire hazards, forest fires, and health risks associated with prolonged exposure to high temperatures. As the National Unification Day, April the 30th, and May Day, May the 1st holidays approach, many people are wondering whether any new sections of the North-South Expressway will open for use. Now, according to the Ministry of Construction, over 220 kilometers of expressway will be ready for public use, connecting smoothly with existing operational sections.
Construction crews are working around the clock. A considerable amount of work remains on bridge expansion joint section, with only 10 days until the deadline. The teams are focusing on both meeting the timeline and maintaining project quality.
At the current stage, our team can handle the workload on this bridge section. Due to the seasonal weather changes, it becomes quite hot, especially around noon, so we take an hour break at midday, then continue working until around 10 p.m. when the next shift takes over.
According to the Construction Supervision Unit, the remaining tasks, including the installation of signage and direction boards, require a large workforce to ensure traffic safety. This is a critical period to concentrate all efforts on completing the main traffic route on schedule.
The completion of the Bung Vạn Ninh Expressway's main route is now being counted down by day. All contractors have fully mobilized their construction teams on site.
The project investors representative from Project Management Unit 6, Ministry of Construction, confirmed that the main expressway route will be ready in time for upcoming holiday. However, finishing the entire system continues to put significant pressure on construction teams.
Approximately 90% of the traffic safety system has been installed, and the remaining work will be completed during the operational phase, ensuring full compliance with requirements for final acceptance.
This means that in just about 10 days, several expressway sections, including Bãi Vọt Hàm Nghi and Hàm Nghi Vũng Áng, will be ready for operation. By the end of this year, the North-South Expressway will provide continuous connectivity between Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City.
The Sanya Terminal T3 has officially come into operation, with the first flight taking off, carrying more than 100 passengers from Ho Chi Minh City to Vân Đồn, Quảng Ninh. The first passengers experienced the entire automated aviation procedure, from check-in, security check, and screening to the boarding gate using biometric technology. Terminal T3 has 27 boarding gates. There are 6 departure baggage handling islands and 10 baggage reclaim carousels. In particular, the terminal is designed with 8 security control gates and a separate area for VIP, business class, and priority passengers. In addition, the new terminal also has a complex of 2 basement levels, 4 floors above ground, and a 3-story motorbike parking lot connected by a bridge corridor, with a total floor area of 130,000 square meters. Locals had the chance to witness aircraft flying with party and national flags over Ho Chi Minh City sky on Friday. This rehearsal marked preparations for the 50th anniversary of the liberation of South and National Reunification Day. 10 helicopters flew from Bien Hoa to downtown Ho Chi Minh City. People gathered on building rooftops early in the morning to watch and cheer during the rehearsal. The magnificent sight of helicopters carrying the national flag across the sky created an unforgettable moment, stirring pride and emotion among Vietnamese people. During the resistance war against the U.S., the Saigon Commando unit struck deep within the most critical areas of enemy territory. Their ever-evolving tactics left occupying forces confused and terrified. Behind these dramatic raids, however, a quieter war was being fought in the shadows. Among the many unsung heroes was veteran Lam Quoc Dũng, an intelligence officer who forged nearly 300 counterfeit ID cards and documents for commandos slipping through the heavily guarded streets of Saigon.
With these rudimentary tools and his extraordinary skill, Lam Quoc Dũng, also known as Dũng Râu, forged nearly 300 counterfeit ID cards and documents. These forged papers enable operatives to slip past enemy checkpoints undetected and carry out their missions. Recognizing his role, his fellow fighters nicknamed him the District Chief of Saigon Commandos.
Throughout the resistance, my only job was to forge documents so our forces could enter Saigon. Without the right papers, you couldn't pass a checkpoint.
His work didn't stop at ID cards. He crafted various forged credentials, including civil servant badges, military leave papers, draft exemptions. Each demands a different set of skills and materials.
Every time I received a mission, I poured my heart and soul into it. If a document looked even slightly off and aroused suspicions, our people could be caught.
The legacy of District Chief Dũng Râu still resonates 50 years after the liberation of southern Vietnam and national reunification. Like so many unsung heroes of Saigon Commandos, his quiet courage and meticulous work remain a source of deep pride for generations of Vietnamese.
The victorious Vietnam's resistance war against the U.S. is considered a war between America's military power and modern warfare and Vietnam's indomitable will and aspiration for peace and independence. The story of this war has been deeply felt by American veterans and their later generations, including Craig McNamara, son of former U.S. Secretary of Defense Robert McNamara, who was once known as the chief architect of the American war in Vietnam.
Throughout his childhood, Craig McNamara witnessed his father make pivotal decisions to escalate the war in Vietnam.
That was at 13. And then as the war increased, as we began to send more troops, as we began to weaponize and start bombing Hanoi and northern Vietnam, I felt devastated. I felt alone. I felt lied to.
Visiting Ấp Bắc in Tiền Giang, Craig was very surprised to learn that the Vietnamese guerrillas only used rudimentary weapons to destroy U.S. helicopters and armored vehicles.
America is a rich country. They have a lot of money and modern weapons, but they still fail because they cannot have the people's trust. With the support of the people, Vietnam won the war.
My father didn't take the opportunity to understand the history of your nation.
From a man who was very confident of victory, U.S. Secretary of Defense McNamara gradually felt scared of Vietnam's military as his tactics, technology, and weapons were broken and defeated.
Robert McNamara couldn't calculate Vietnam's combat capability. He couldn't do that because this war involved all the Vietnamese people. It was a people's war, and the party's leadership had the support of everyone.
One of the most moving pieces of this for me has been the conversations that I have had with members, soldiers, the Liberation Front. As I walked from tombstone to tombstone, I came upon one tombstone. The soldier was born the same year that I was born. And as an 18-year-old, as I was preparing to go to college, he was killed in the battlefield. The source of the strength is in your heart. The source of the strength is bring peace to your country.
Coming up next in our world news. U.S. signals progress in trade talks during 90-day tariff pause. And global growth hurt by trade tensions, but see no recessions, according to IMF. Continuing with global updates, U.S. President Donald Trump has claimed positive developments in trade talks during during a 90-day pause on proposed reciprocal tariff hikes. During a meeting with Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni at the White House on Thursday, Trump said the U.S. is doing very well in negotiations with all trading partners. He expressed confidence that the U.S. and Europe will reach a trade deal before the tariff pause expires. On China negotiations, Trump hoped both countries could reach a constructive agreement to ease the prolonged trade war. He noted that the current round of tariffs may have reached its limit, as further increases could hurt consumer demand.
I have a very good relationship with President Xi, and I think it's going to continue. And I would say they have reached out.
Cambodia and China signed 37 cooperation documents on Thursday, overseen by Cambodian Prime Minister Hun Manet and Chinese Party General Secretary and President Xi Jinping. After high-level bilateral talks between the leaders at the Peace Palace in Phnom Penh, the signing ceremony marked a deepening of the strategic partnership between the two nations. The agreements covers multiple sectors, including investment, trade, education, finance, information and communications, youth employment, agriculture, healthcare, water resources, and tourism. China remains Cambodia's largest foreign investor and top trading partner. International Monetary Fund (IMF) Managing Director Kristalina Georgieva said on Thursday that the global economy will likely avoid a recession despite impacts from U.S. President Donald Trump's tariff implementation. According to the IMF chief, while rising trade tensions and major shift in the global trading system will lead to downward revisions in IMF economic forecasts, a global recession is not anticipated. The fund predicts three major consequences for the global economy, with smaller advanced economies and emerging markets facing greater impacts due to their dependence on trade for growth. Quick detection of oil spills is crucial for the offshore oil and gas industry, and artificial intelligence, or AI, is now helping to address this challenge. A group of Norwegian marine data specialists has developed an AI tool that analyzes sea conditions around offshore sites to identify signs of surface contamination. More to follow.
The system uses traditional maritime radars to create an image of the sea surface, which AI then analyzes to assess wave patterns.
So actually what we do, we use a traditional navigation radar that you will find on any ship, those that turns around on top of the vessel, right? And that creates an image of the sea surface around your installation.
When oil contacts the surface, it calms the wind-generated ripples, creating a distinctly flat area. The radar detects this smooth patch and applies analytics to evaluate the spill's extent and severity.
So the ocean is a very complex surface, and you never know what's coming next. So our technology can both measure the waves, we can measure the surface current actually, but we can actually measure the surface current very accurately. And so when you know that there's a potential oil spill taking place, and you know the surface current, and you measure the wind regularly.
The company's technology can also predict future sea conditions by analyzing wave swell height and motion around ships and oil rigs. This allows it to forecast wave heights and arrival times minutes before they occur.
Yeah, so the AI-based prediction for wave measurements, we really see that is a key tool now for enhancing efficiency and safety of offshore operations.
Morose emphasizes that accurate initial AI source data is crucial for achieving meaningful results and improving the overall efficiency and safety of offshore operations.
And as usual, let's take a look at the weather forecast. And that's the end of VTV News. To rewatch your program, you can download VTVgo from App Store or Google Play, or visit our YouTube channel at VTV4go. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.